Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to RPG Clinic. I am not John Farrell. I am, as per the caption down below, my name is Scott Humphrey. I'm one of the frequent contributors to RPG Clinic, in the form of being a Duck Hump. Kung Fu Fenris, this is a serious channel, okay? I'm just kidding. Hello to you, and hello to all. Thanks so much for joining me on this Thursday afternoon and or evening and or morning, I suppose, wherever you are. I am very excited because I am going to be spending the next couple of hours chatting about that's evening. That is night, Kung Fu Fenris, I would argue. I'm going to be spending the next couple of hours chatting a little bit with y'all about what prep I'm going to be doing for a one-shot that I'm running. A bit of context, which I'm sure I will give many times over the... Whoa! This is Dr. 5 RPGs... Oh, 5... Oh, thanks, Walter. Yeah, oh man, 5 pads. John, you can't say that. You also know it's not true. Whoa! Thank you, Kung Fu Fenris. Ooh, can I thank you for this emote? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Glorious. Glorioso. I think we're all here just to, like, hang out. Oh, good, and Crosshair's here, too. Sorry for the false start, folks. I didn't get any notifications that I was live, which worried me. But here we are. We're doing fine. For the benefit, for the edification of the masses, I did try on some scrubs. They are not my size or color, so it didn't really work. So instead I'm wearing this wonderful lab coat, courtesy of Zen Robo, interestingly enough. I've had it forever. Now, thank you for Zen Robo. Look at these. Wow. Look at these. It's a good question, John. Now, the normal doctor is out, but don't worry, I have extensive medical RPG training. I can tell you, if your RPG suffers from constant excitement with no release, you, the GM, might want to consider a release valve. Something fun to do sort of between longer campaigns, longer like slow build-up kind of things, where you have a one-shot to just get it all out of your system, you know? Hi everybody, it's wonderful to see you all. You take out the P for prep, exactly. Hang on, let me just quickly adjust the old green screen filters here. I mean, what's that? I don't know what on earth you're talking about. Whoa, that's the wrong way. I think that's a little bit better. So, what are we talking about today? As per the... oh man. Anyway. Yes, so we're going to be chatting about a number of different topics today that I have lined up. As always, of course, as on these clinics, please feel free to toss some questions into chat. I'll see if I can answer them or throw them right back at you, the chat, to see if you can answer better than me. But this is a clinic for all RPG-related things. However, today we have a specific topic in mind, which is preparing for a one-shot. Now, just a bit of context here. Everybody in the chat right now is aware, but I will put it out there anyway, just for consistency's sake. On Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on this channel, so in just about 3 days or so, I didn't see anything, Crosshair? I saw your green card, Crosshair. Anything else? Just checking to see if I missed anything here. Oh, there we go. Hey, that is true. Yeah, I think it's really nice to have a chance for me just to like hop on a channel and just kind of spout some of my own thoughts and feelings out there into the universe, you know? So in about 3 days' time, this channel will be hosting 3 consecutive Sundays of one-shots. This is a break between the end of our very long-running and I would say very successful, very fun, changing the streaming, before we begin our new first season of streams, Star Wars Reach, a Star Wars Edge of the Empire tabletop role-playing game, which will be streamed live to you wherever you live, given your internet access. And hello, Kev. It's great to see you. So, in terms of the 3 one-shots that will be run as sort of palate cleansers, if you will, between the end of the first campaign and the beginning of the new season, there will be a one-shot of Paranoia, as run by John. There will be a one-shot of Good Society, a Jane Austen RPG, as run by Elizabeth Neal. And first, there will be 10 Candles, a one-shot run by me. So why are we having this RPG Clinic? Well, I wanted to kind of bounce some ideas around and chat a little bit about my process preparing for a one-shot as A, somebody who doesn't GM all the time, and B, somebody who is preparing to create a one-shot, to craft it for a specific time frame, for a specific group of people, to be streamed. These are all really important considerations when you're crafting your story, right? How long do you have? Who's the audience? Just like any sort of writing. And as Crosshair mentioned, thank you very much, Crosshair, we will be joined for all 3 of these one-shots by our very special guest star judge friend, Jess Files, who is a wonderful human being. Not that other people are not, but she's just a wonderful human being, and I have a feeling we're going to have a good time. As I mentioned, in terms of preparing for a one-shot, there's a few considerations that I have. First and foremost, I don't have a lot of experience, so I can't kind of go to my tickle trunk, Canadian reference there, of ideas to draw from if I need something. I have to rely on my fellow players at the table. I have to rely on my own experience and my own improvisational training. And also, the other consideration, as I've already mentioned, is that we are going to be streaming this game in a specific time frame. So it has to reach, it hopefully will, reach a satisfying conclusion within the 3 hours, which includes time for character creation, development, build-up, etc. So I can't be too precious when I'm running this one-shot when it comes to, drawing out, say, the exposition or the middle of the story. John and Kate, I know you are both there. I will attempt to not I'm not going to be like, and then this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, because, this one shot will not, this one shot is not going to be, railroaded, so to speak. It's not fully set out in advance, right? There's very little prep involved in that way. But mild spoilers ahead, potentially I will be discussing setting to a certain extent. Oh, don't forget to hydrate, everybody. That was not water. This thing that's fading into the background is water, so don't forget. I just say view at your own risk, John. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, let's get into it. Let's get doomed. As I love to say. 10 Candles. The game that we will be playing, or that I will be running on Sunday, is called 10 Candles, a game of tragic horror. I will read from the PDF because I feel like it's useful to get to it from the creator's own words as a jumping off point. This is a game about telling a story. The story that you will tell is not a kind one and far from a happy one. A sort of story that has sharp edges, lingers long after it's gone, nesting in nightmares and drifting on every shadow. 10 Candles is a tragic horror, time-based cooperative storytelling game through which you will tell the story of a dark world and those who fall victim to it. Best played with 3 to 6 players. Nailed it. And takes about 2 to 3 hours. Nailed it. The standard setting for 10 Candles is in the middle of a sunless apocalypse. 10 Candles is tragic horror rather than survival horror, despite the similarities in feel and theme, for one important reason. Again, this is not a spoiler because this is how the game is designed, but I'm putting it out there anyway. Despite the similarities in feel and theme, oh, I already read that. In a survival horror game, there is a chance that you might make it through. A hope that you might beat the odds and win. 10 Candles is not a game you can win. It's not about whether the characters fall to the darkness or emerge as survivors. There are no survivors. Everyone will die in the final scene. without question or quarrel. Though you know your characters will die, you must have hope that they will survive. The game has a few sort of golden rules for the GM, but the first, and it is the most important, although I've already been over it with my players, so we're all on the same page. If the players don't want to get on board with the idea that your character will die at the end of the story, it's probably not the game for you. Because you will, and some people feel like when their PC dies or leaves them, hello Lamira, oh, Zen Robo, fire! Crosshair, you've pretty much nailed it. We'll get into it a little bit more in a moment. But more or less, yeah, that's kind of the idea. There's light, and then there is no light, and then you are dead. Hey ho, pew pew! If your players are not willing to acknowledge the fact that they're going to be creating a character, and then, oh, gotta look at this, creating a character, and then, Lord Ferkward. If your players are not willing to create a character and then be willing to put that character up against the wall to try to accomplish something great, but definitely know that they will not make it, this probably isn't the game for them. Some people are very competitive when it comes to role-playing games. I am not endorsing, condoning, or damning this attitude. I'm just putting it out there. But this isn't a game of winning and losing. This is, I'm going to characterize it more akin to long-form improv, rather than have a structure of, okay, after the end of this scene, these people will go off and we'll introduce the other two main characters, yada, yada, yada. We're going to collectively be building the world, the antagonists, the atmosphere, and what will inevitably happen to these people, and the hope they may or may not gain while they try to survive. Yes, Kung Fu Fenris. Yeah, okay, good. Lamira, you're on it, and I love that. Thank you. Yes, it was very deliberate, and I think it's very funny, frankly. So, that's the sort of overview of the game. This raises a few, well, the immediate concern I've already kind of addressed, right? Like, make sure one's players are aware of what the ending is going to be. It'd be really crappy if you were like, hey, let's play a horror game, guys. Ooh, and then you know they're going to die, but they don't. That wouldn't be particularly useful. So Roger makes a really good point. Thank you, Roger. May I call you Roger Twee? Pre-record the record. Oh! No, Kung Fu Fenris. We're doing it live. Zen Robo can confirm, if she's still here, that we have the technology. And yeah, I'm really jazzed, Kung Fu Fenris specifically, because I think if everybody is on the same page that this is happening live, there's a lot more forgiveness, I find. People are willing to forgive things like, you know, flubs, kind of perhaps missed wordplay opportunities, whatever. You know, when I go to, similar to, like I said before, it's similar to when I go see improv of any kind, short or long form. Because you know it's happening live in front, I mean, that goes for theater for that matter, or any live performance, spectacle. The impressive part is that they're doing it in front of you, which sounds filthy, but it isn't, I promise. The point is that we are all experiencing the thing at the same time, and that while some of the people involved in the experience are contributing to it actively, that doesn't mean the audience is simply accepting it passively. They and their energy are contributing in that same moment. Everyone dies, running the game. Exactly. Yeah, Zen is correct. We're going to record the recordings when the recordings are supposed to be recorded. Hey, dog, I heard you liked some recordings, so we're going to record your recordings so you can record while you record. Speaking of which, this is also being recorded to be posted on the RPGClinic YouTube channel. I think it's almost time to get into how the game of 10 Candles is played. There's just something else I wanted to mention because I think it's something that is going to take up the majority of today's RPG Clinic because it's something I'm running up against. There's this dichotomy. There's this, I don't know, there's two elements that kind of butt heads, that are in conflict with preparing for this kind of event. The first is that you want to be prepared because, as anyone who has performed or done anything for the first time will tell us, you'll know that the more you're prepared, the less nervous you are. Nerves are good, but you want to be prepared. The flip side of that is actually directly from 10 Candles, the game itself. I'm going to read this. It says, 0 prep. Don't plan anything. I'll repeat that. Don't plan anything. Though you'll need to choose or design a module for your session, 10 Candles is a cooperative storytelling game at heart. More often than not, your players will be creating the world, not you. In fact, one of the best things about running a game of 10 Candles is that the players will make most of the hard decisions about the world and its secrets. And then we'll talk about narrative rights, etc., etc. Hello, Dio. So for me, there's a bit of a difficult kind of dichotomy here, if that's the word. I don't think it is. On the one hand, I want to be prepared so that I'm not scrambling for, like I said, a concept, a character, an antagonist, something, a plot hook, something to move the story forward, something to get us out of a rut. On the other hand, the game specifically encourages you to not over-prepare, because in doing so, you and your players all together will craft this story. There's a real danger in over-preparing, I think, and that goes for any sort of storytelling experience. If the other person you are playing with, how am I going to say this? It's akin to not listening to somebody, right? If you're having a conversation, you're each listening and responding to the other. This is like classic sort of like acting technique garbage that I won't go into. But it's an important point. Hey, thank you, Dio. It's an important point, and I want to make it really clear here. When you are acting, even though you know what you are going to say most of the time, and even in improv, you don't know what you're going to say, but you have a general idea of the flow of what's going to happen, right? You need to reach a climax or a conclusion, etc. You need to be listening to your partner. If you're not, it doesn't feel real. In a real conversation... Oh, hello, cat. Oh, we might be joined by a little RPG cat later. Who knows? In a real kind of dialogue or conversation, you and your scene partner, your conversation partner, you're listening to each other and responding, right? In that way, you build something kind of authentic. If you over-prepare your story and somebody is responding to you in a way that's like, I don't like that, I don't want to do that, I really think my character would go over here, no, they want to jump out of the plane, trust me. You have to be prepared to make those changes. And the more you've prepared, the more you'll have to feel like, oh, geez, I have to throw all this away now. Kung Fu Fenris, you asked a question a while ago. I'm going to answer in the affirmative. Yes. Well, okay. I'm going to answer in the mostly affirmative. If there is time, I think it's important. Can I help you? What's happening back there? Sorry, hang on a quick second. What's going on back there? Ta-da! Oh, always Crosshair. See the Crosshair? This is why we don't stream from this location very often. You know what I mean? So, I was just in the middle of saying, yes, on-screen debriefing. The 3 hours that we have on... You betcha, Kung Fu Fenris. Chaos. K and os. In the 3-hour time frame, approximately, that we have for the one-shot, we're going to create characters, explain how the game works as we go, play the game, and also, hopefully, have a little debrief, a little breather afterwards. We don't want to lose the mood of the game, but I also understand that depending on how intense the story is, we may... Chaos! Depending on how intense the story is, we may end up needing to just take a breather and, like, you know, just make sure that everybody's okay, and also make sure that everybody's had a good time, right? That's something I want to do. I'm actually going to quickly add a topic to my little list so that I remember to talk about it. Lessons learned. Lessons learned. That's going to be a good one. What's type 2 fun? Is that good? Is that good fun? Whoa, I didn't even notice. Sorry, all. That's going to be hilarious on the VOD. Hope I'm not the first video on RPGClinic. Haha. So, Crosshair, I'm so sorry. You die a horrible death. Green card. I'll just explain briefly. I know everybody is aware of it here, but Hello, Real Brick Wall. Okay, cool. Kung Fu Fenris. That makes perfect sense. Yes, that's what we're going for. Me. Yes. Crosshair is using the green card emote, which I think is a useful thing to point out here. I'll explain this again on Sunday, but we will be using our green, yellow, red safety card system, which is really important. I think safety tools are very useful in the running of any game to make sure that people are having fun. Oh, okay, Real Brick Wall. Weird. I hope that's not on my end. And Lamira's using our other cool emote. There you go. Thank you very much. In case I don't, we're not playing right now, of course, but in case I make reference to it in the future, I'm actually just going to quickly, do this anyway. Games of horror, especially tragic horror, where you know you are going to die, usually necessitate pretty dark themes, right? I'm not going to kind of list or name or whatever, but, you know, we're going to issue some content warnings and so on for the stream because, again, if we're developing it all together, I can't necessarily guarantee that we won't go down a path that some people find a little scary or traumatic or whatever. So we use a system of safety cards, green, yellow, and red. Green indicates that the player may not appear to be having fun or enjoying themselves or okay, but in fact the player is. The character may not be, but the player is very much still enthusiastically consenting. It's a cool tool to have. I say use it. A yellow card would indicate to the storyteller or to your fellow players, hey, like, let's slow down a little bit. I'm approaching my limit, whatever that limit is, and it doesn't matter. A red card is, we have crossed a line. You don't need to explain yourself. We need to end the scene, stop the game, or simply move on, or I need to step out just for a moment. Again, that could be for any reason, and it doesn't really matter, right? If somebody is, upset, obviously you want to, oh, hello, Osab. Yeah, there you go, exactly, Osab. If you're in free fall, you gotta pull the cord, the emergency cord, right? That's your red card, if you need to. Okay. Again, we're not playing right now, so I don't mind if we discuss the safety tools. But there you go. I want to briefly return to the topic at hand, the game, 10 Candles. So I've kind of explained a little bit what it is, what the creator intended. We haven't talked a lot about what I want to do with it and why I was drawn to it. I was drawn to it for a few reasons. One, I love horror. I think there's something really, really exciting about a feeling of intense dread or anxiety if you know that it's not real. If a fictional scenario can have a full-on parasympathetic nervous reaction, I don't know. If it can have a physical reaction in your body, something is happening to you, and I find that really exciting. Some of the most, I know, Real Brick Wall, it's crazy, right? Some of the most memorable experiences of media consumption, that I can remember, involve the feelings of tension and creeping dread and horror and like chills down your spine. Fear elicits in us, chemically speaking, a response. In a way that other emotions do, but that we experience them a bit more often, so we kind of ignore those responses a bit more. So that's certainly one of the reasons I was drawn to it. I was also drawn to it because it feels very ritualistic, and there's something really fun about getting a group of people in a room and saying like, okay, whenever we extinguish a candle, we all need to do this together. The reason doesn't matter. You're all engaging in something that is a constant for you, something that you can hold on to. At the end of our Froyo session for Changeling the Streaming, we were kind of talking a little bit about what we've learned over the last few years, and I mentioned something which I think stands here. It's important. Change is constant. So anything that is a real, true constant in your life should be celebrated. Not if you're not contemplating it anymore. A ritual or a tradition that hasn't been re-examined in a while might not serve its same purpose anymore. Damn it, Roger, why didn't I think of that? Don Hughes does 10 candles. Damn it. Oh, cool, Real Brick Wall. Okay, well, I'll just finish now then. Click. No, I'm just kidding. I hope you enjoy. We had a really good time. Disclose, right? There was a bit of there's some nostalgia towards the end, I would say. It's a different feel from the beginning. We're having a lot more rollicking laughter. The sound you hear in the background, by the way. Hey, thanks, Roger. I hope you can join us on Sunday, by the way. I'm not the usual GM, as I'm sure you've noticed, or as I'm sure you've heard me say already, but I will be running the one-shot on Sunday. The following Sunday, it will be our usual GM, John. After that, another one of our players, Elizabeth, will be running Good Society, a Jane Austen RPG. Crosshair knows. We have a litter robot for the cats, which is just a rotating litter box that disposes of its own waste. Not, like, on the floor, but just in a tray. Mystery class. Okay. I've talked enough about, boring stuff. Why am I interested in the game? I like horror, I like ritual, I like things that require a little prep, and I like things that are improvisation-based because that's where I feel my strengths lie. Please feel free to fight me in the comments down below. No, Crosshair, I have not. In fact, I think you're right. You know what, Crosshair? Good point. Let's actually talk mechanics first, because this isn't really spoiling anything, as I will be going over them with the players during, character creation, etc. Okay. In brief, the game starts with character creation, then we move into the game proper, the story proper, which takes place in rounds, 10 rounds, 10 candles. Once, we'll get into this in a bit, but once all the candles are extinguished, we enter the final scene, the last stand, and then it is the end. And then we'll probably have a little debrief. Character creation, again, also encourages a degree of improvisational... Oh, Lamira, hang on. I'm gonna nerd out a lot here, guys. Just, bear with me while I do so. Character creation, much like the rest of the game, favors improvisation. It favors coming up with things on the fly. Character creation is quite simple. Each player will write a virtue and a vice on some index cards, and then they're going to pass them in opposite directions. So each person will end up with a random virtue and vice. Virtues are things that your character is proud of. Vices are things that your character might be ashamed of. Fun fact, you can be proud of your vices and ashamed of your virtues, so there's that aspect as well. Lucky, daring, arrogant, naive, impulsive, etc. Once you have your virtue and your vice, hopefully that'll give you a bit of an indication as to who you are. So you get to write a little bit about who you are. What's your name? Where are you from? what the hell is going on? Once you've discovered who you are, you get to write your character's moment. It's an experience that they hope to live or a goal that they hope to achieve. If they live this moment, they will gain hope. So typically moments are written in the form of, I will find hope when I blank, or I will find hope in or on or under blank. I have some examples here that I gave to my players. I will find hope when I find my sister, when I destroy one of them, when we reach the end of the road, etc. Obviously the setting influences what your moment is going to be. You're not going to be like, I will find hope when we are under the ocean if you live at the top of a mountain or something. Terrible example. Once you've written your moment, the last thing that people do for character creation, they write a brink for the player on their left. A brink is a secret darkness that your character is capable of. Oh my god, hang on. Whoa, crosshair, whoa. 10 minutes per round, 10 rounds. 1 hour 40. 15 for the pre-stream, 30 for character creation, prep, etc. 30 for the final round, 20 for the post-stream. Boom, 3 hours 15. Boom, bang, boom. Oh, thank you, the Emerald. See, here's the thing, Real Brick Wall. One of the modules I proposed to the players definitely had a much more campy vibe, literally and figuratively. It's not the one we're going with, and don't be disappointed, folks. I'm really excited with the setting and module that we're going to be looking at. I think there's a lot of potential for some crazy shit, pardon my French. But I have no issue, Real Brick Wall, if one of my players is like, hey man, I'm going to find hope under your mom, blah. Like, I have no issue with a player who wants to play that kind of character. In fact, actually, the last example on my sheet in front of me here, funnily enough, is I will find hope in my garage's porn stash. I have no issue with this. That's some people's hope, Roger Tweet, I'm not familiar with My Life with Master, so you'll have to... Crosshair? It could happen. Yo, dude! P.S. I think I booked a role recently in a video game where I'm like Keanu Reeves surfer dude. It was a good audition, and I booked it, and I'm pretty sure it's the same character, but I was a little like, him? Oh, cool. Okay, Roger, I'm gonna look that up because I haven't heard of it, but let me know if you kind of hear any more similarities. Okay, back to the character creation. You have your virtue, your vice, your character concept, and your moment. You write a brink for the character on your left. This is the thing, the depth to which they will stoop. You write it in the form of, I've seen you... ... Real Brick Wall, I want to get to this. I'm just going to finish my thought here before I forget it. I've seen you abandon me. I've seen you pray to them. I've seen you, murder, whatever. Doesn't matter. That brink is a secret. You know it because you wrote it. They know it because it's theirs. Now, there's a couple of exceptions. The game master gets to write a brink for the player on their left. That's fun. And the player on the GM's right gets to write a brink for them, the unknown forces that threaten the players, which again we'll get into. You don't predetermine necessarily who they are. The players and the GM will kind of find out together. So the player on the GM's right gets to write, I've seen them blank. It gets to define one of the strengths of them. I've seen them fly. I've seen them chew. They smell like ammonia. I don't know, whatever. Like, I got totally stabbed in the gooch. Majorly uncool, dude. Elmira, I am very excited to hear that. Thank you. I hope you enjoy. I hope I enjoy. Real Brick Wall makes a good point here, folks, and I want to point it out again. I used to have a philosophy: the player can do whatever they want. I've been trying to qualify that recently to make sure everyone at the table is here to play the same game. Yes, you can do what you want, but if you sit down at the table to play Monopoly and you're like, oh, but okay, no, bad example. Some people don't like the old the old house rules of Monopoly. Nobody, bad example. If you all sit down to play charades, that's a bad example again. Well, it doesn't matter. If you sit down to play a board game, but you refuse to get on board with the rules of the game, well, you're not really playing the game with your friends. And that's fine. Go and play something else. But, you know, in a collective, however big that group is, you all need to be working towards a common goal. And I'm really excited because I know my players are going to want to do that. Kimtastic! Hello. Do the players choose their seats? Great question. Normally, yes. In this case, no. Kimtastic, on Sunday, we will be all streaming from the same location, but because of concerns around social distancing, 2 players are going to be seated slightly apart from the other 3 players. So the place where everybody, and then I'm going to be in the, I'm in the group of 3, but I'm towards the middle. So no. On my left will be 2 of my players, and I know who they are, and on my right will be the other 2 players. Also, this allowed our technical wizard Zen Robo to create some sweet-ass overlays, and I cannot wait for you guys to see them. Sorry for shouting. I am just actually very excited. They're really cool. Okay. Crosshair asks, is it kind of like the other one-shot thing, One Last Job? Yes. One Last Job was also have very little prep, create things as you go. In One Last Job, you create other people's characters for them, and the tone is more like, you know, wacky buddy cop comedy or whatever. This is tragic horror. But the situation applies. There's more mechanics, and I think they're maybe better. Hi, Kaylin! How are you? Welcome to RPG Clinic. We're talking about mechanics, apparently. We're talking about 10 Candles, the one-shot that will be run on Sunday, the first of 3 one-shots on this new channel, RPG Clinic. Okay, I'm sure you know all about that. We've talked a little bit. Yeah, Roger, we have, there's usually 4 of us. We have a special guest star, Jess Files, so we will be myself and 4 players. I fully plan on fleshing out the world a little bit with some NPCs, even though you don't necessarily need to do that. But that's the plan. Okay. In terms of character creation, full party fame. Yes, if people are not familiar, over on Beanduck, a number of the players from this channel, from RPG Clinic, participated in a Exalted 3rd Edition stream called Full Party, which was short-lived, but phenoms. I mean, I'm biased, but I really enjoyed it. And I miss 5 Paths. Oh, 5 Paths. Character creation is almost done, folks, and I'm not going to go through all the mechanics, but I want to point something out because I think this is another one of those aspects that really excites me about the game. Once you have your virtue, your vice, your moment, and your brink, you get to use those traits throughout the game, and I'll mention those briefly in a moment. But the last thing you do before you start playing, each player records their character's final message for the world. You know, it's that horror movie trope. Well, it's a horror movie trope, but it, you know, made famous by the Blair Witch, right? The woman in that film records herself in the tent. She's terrified, and it's that very human need to want to be remembered after you're gone, but the context is you're terrified for your life. Hey, thanks, Crosshair. Bam. We need to get you more. Whoa. We need to get you more mod tools, Crosshair? The character's final messages for the world. I'm not going to be strict on timing or content. If someone's like going on forever, I might be like, okay. You know, but I think that's really going to set up a lot of fun for the players, because this is a character that you came up with, 10 minutes ago based on 2 words on cards. And then you created a couple more things for them, and then you got a secret about them that you didn't even know. You have this shell of a human that you're going to inhabit and fill, but you're being asked to record their final message to the world. How do you rise to that challenge, right? I'm really just excited about it. I want to point out, I have not run a session of 10 Candles before. We didn't do a practice one. So yeah, Kaylin, I'm going to get to setting in a moment because I'm very curious how people feel about this. Ah! Lamira, great question. Each season on RPG Clinic, I believe we said is going to run about 20 to 25 sessions or weeks, which is about half a year, right? About 6 months. Someone's stuck in a closet somewhere. Oh my god. After which time we decide, well, you know, running up to that, and we decide as a team whether we renew for another season of the same game or we create a new season of a new game. In between seasons, we'll probably play 1 or 2 one-shots. Maybe more, maybe none. I say maybe more, maybe none because there's lots of one-shots, but they don't all serve our purposes. I would say some are probably too simplistic, some are probably too complicated. You know, some would take too long, some are really short. You know, great example. I've played Dread a few times. Dread is the horror storytelling game played with a Jenga tower. That game probably won't run you 3 hours. It might. It really might, but I doubt it. It's probably more of like an hour. Because, my god, how long are you going to sit there, like, trying not to pull Jenga blocks? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, anyway, okay. How the game is played. I should talk briefly about this, because there's a few things that we should know. I'm not going to go over all the rules now, because I think... Ooh! Thanks, Kung Fu Fenris. I am going to take a look at that. I've had some great times with Dread. It's a great game. It's just, again, you know, probably not RPG Clinic's, like, one-shot sort of time frame. Okay. In the game of 10 Candles, the mechanics are quite simple. You have your 4 cards, which tell you a bit about your character. They can be used. I'll get into that in a moment. Basically, if there's a conflict, if your character needs to do something and the GM calls it a conflict, you have to roll a pool of dice. You have a pool of dice that is communal to all the players, equal to, d6s, I should be clear, equal to the number of candles that are still lit. You roll them. If you get any 6s, it's a success. Congratulations. If you get more successes than the GM, you get to describe what happens. More on that in a moment. Hey, Party Hardy the Emerald. I respect, like, anyway. If you roll your conflict and there are any 1s in your pool, the 1s are removed and they go to the GM for the remainder of the round. The GM then also rolls on any conflict. If the GM rolls more 6s than you on a conflict, they narrate the outcome, regardless of whether or not you've succeeded. So there's a question around, there's a kind of back and forth, hopefully not, you know, competitive, but like hopefully a back and forth kind of pull of the players wanting to retain narrative control, but as the game goes on and more candles are darkened, it's harder for them to do so. I have not played War, Kaylin Silverfern. I'm like kind of the worst. Like, I love RPGs, but like I just don't know a lot about them. Hey! Look over there! But if that's what it makes you think of, then I'm going to go with yes, because it is a collaborative storytelling effort. Okay. What if you fail a conflict that you want to succeed? I mean, bang. You know, shit happens. But if you fail a conflict, a candle is darkened. Oh, yeah, oh my god, of course. Oh god, what the hell is wrong with this green screen? Oh, Pat all you want. Pat Sajak. What? He's a silly man who really likes interacting with all y'alls over here on RPG Clinic. Thanks again for joining us today as we talk one shots. Okay, mechanically speaking, in 10 Candles, if you fail your conflict, a candle is darkened, the scene is over, and we move on to a new one. Hence, there's a time. There's a time constraint, right? Hopefully players feel up against the clock, because as those candles start to go out, you have fewer dice to roll, and therefore it's harder to succeed at conflicts, and therefore rounds get shorter, and therefore you move towards the inevitable conclusion of the game faster. Thanks, Kaylin. I'm just trying to live up to John, Elizabeth, Kate, and all the other people here on RPG Clinic. Okay. How do you succeed at a roll if you fail at a roll? Whoa, paradox, you may be asking yourself. You have options. You may burn, we'll get into this in a second, you may burn your virtue or your vice to reroll all your ones in a single pool. Which either will help you succeed or prevent too many of your dice from being lost. You then have to work that virtue or the vice into the conflict and the scenario in some way. Let's say your vice is... impulsive. You fail a roll, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to burn my vice, and you do so, you reroll your ones, and you get a success. Great. You succeeded in jumping over the chasm, but because you impulsively just ran and leapt, you didn't realize until too late that you left your backpack on the other side. Say. That would be to the player to narrate if they rolled more sixes than me, but they have to work it in some way. Now, you'll notice I use the term burn. This is a game of 10 candles. If you decide to burn your virtue or your vice, you literally and figuratively burn the card on which it is written. Drop it into a bowl in the center. Obviously, we're going to have lots of... Lemire, I'd give it another 3 or 4. Just, just bear them out a little bit more. I hope people are enjoying my, crazy, 80s synthwave here. I just discovered the band The Midnight, and they are allowing their music to be used for things like this. So, hey ho! This will not be the soundtrack to the game on Sunday. So, as you burn away your virtue or your vice, it opens up another option. The card beneath it becomes available to be used. Your other virtue or your vice, or your moment. The moment, as I mentioned before, is something that your character hopes to achieve. The GM, me, is paying attention to what the moments are, so that then they can get you in a situation where you can try to live those moments. When you try to live your moment... Me too, the Emerald, but you knew that. When you try to live your moment, you make a conflict roll. If you're successful, you inspired hope, and you gain a hope die. I'm not going to go into what that does, but suffice it to say it's a die all your own. That's really good, which is great. If unsuccessful, the hope is lost, the candle is darkened. Whoa. I just translated a scenario called The Racing Rats, which was a game about 4 idiot skavens trying to complete a very simple objective. Or there's a game detailing the last days of a quartet of Jewish musicians in Birkenau. God damn, Kung Fu Fenris. So this is the, you said it much further up, I'm just going to find it. These are the Danish Con games, yeah? Really cool stuff. Once you have burned away your virtue, your vice, and your moment, you are left only with your brink. The secret brink to which you will stoop. The depths to which you will stoop in order to survive. You are allowed, after you've burned your other traits, if you fail a conflict roll, or even if you don't, I mean pretty much Crosshair, which is great, right? If you choose to embrace your brink, so if you choose to, go for that thing that is the darkness inside you, you are allowed a full reroll, which includes all your successes, if any. If you are successful, you keep your brink and you continue. If you are unsuccessful, you burn your brink, you lose your hope die if you have one, you extinguish a candle, the game moves on. A brink is that last thing. It's your character's pushed up against the wall. What are they going to do? And it's that final dot of willpower. It's that final mote of essence, whatever. It's that final thing that you can draw upon if you have nothing else left. So, those are essentially the mechanics of the game. There's one more thing I want to discuss, but the idea is relatively simple. You have your character creation, then you play the game, you tell the story all together in a series of rounds dictated by the number of candles, 10. If a candle goes out or must be extinguished because you failed a roll, We move on to a new scene, and play continues from there. The fewer candles there are lit, the fewer dice the players have access to, the harder the rolls become. In this way, this is not a game where, in the face of adversity, people might be able to pull out an against all odds kind of victory, but it's inevitable that you will be defeated. It's what you do as you embrace that is the story we're telling together. There's one final thing, and I think Crosshair in particular is going to love this, because I'm sure Kung Fu Fenris already does, or else I would have called you out on it. When a candle is darkened, before a new scene begins, there's a phase known as establishing truths, and I just want to check whether that happens at the first, like before you do anything else or not, and I think it does, so I just need to check. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just looking through the thing here. For the recording, once the first scene begins. Voice recorders. Sorry, folks, I'm just making sure I actually know this. I will have my cheat sheet, of course, on Sunday. I'm pretty sure you don't at the beginning when a scene ends. Okay, cool. Something that, again, I think is really fun about this. Full of hope, nothing to lose, now is time for you to choose. See if the next step you can handle, 'cause out goes the 7th candle. Take this broom by the handle, because there goes the 5th candle. Exactly, Kaylin. Now, again, it's really important. I think it's going to be a really important distinction, and I know my players are up for it. Your characters don't know that the end is nigh. You know, the player knows, the GM knows. The characters don't. The characters might suspect, the characters might even feel it deep in their gut, but they have to retain hope. That's why we watch media and stuff, right? Like that's why we love stories. We want to see people try. I know that sounds silly, but like it's not so much about the outcome, right? In a traditional action adventure or romance or whatever, in most sort of happy stories, we want to see people overcome obstacles and succeed, because hopefully we like them. In 10 Candles, regardless of whether or not you like the characters, homeless hobo, the end is nigh. Yeah. I could even sit in the chat ass. I mean, I'd rather it not, because I want to keep the ass like free for other things. Chat ass. Establishing truths. This is the last thing I want to go over, and then we're getting into the game proper. I'm not playing today, just to be clear. As always, of course, folks, if you have questions for me about like, ooh, what drew you to this? I'll be like, watched 10 minutes ago. If you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. There's an additional phase that I think people are really going to be into, and that I think is going to be quite tricky, but should be cool to pull off. After a candle is darkened, but before the new scene begins, as a group we establish truths. I say, these things are true. The world is dark. Then, the player who darkened the candle begins, and we proceed clockwise, and we establish truths about the world. They are canon in the game. It allows both the players and the GM to introduce facts to the world, and potentially even fast forward time if they want to or if they need to. Let's say you failed a conflict in attempting to reach the next gas station. The candle goes out, the new scene begins. These things are true. The world is dark. And then the player who darkened the candle might say, we've reached the gas station. Boom! Established. You did the thing. But truths can be what people have done, what people have seen. It can be facts about the place that you found or the place that you're in. It can be just sounds or whatever. The last truth, you say truths up to the number of candles that are still lit. The last truth must always be, and we are alive. That's spoken by all. What this means is, in the last scene, it'll just be, these things are true. The world is dark, and we are alive. The greater good. Right? I love that. Is that Ashley Johnson? I'm sure it is. Yeah, it totally is. Okay, good. See, Crosshair, but like, I think that sort of, I mean, like, clearly, you know, Agent of Chaos over here, but that sort of thing is exactly that sort of established truth, you know, throws a wrench into things. You know, it also allows, like, what I'm expecting to happen is that some of the players will set up some truths about, you know, getting closer to their goals. Other of the players will then hear that and probably react and say, okay, well, we need a challenge, and they throw themselves a challenge. Because we're all relatively experienced, I think, to a certain degree, we all know that it can't be all rainbows and sunshine. It would kind of perhaps leave the tone of the game in the dust a little bit. However, that's the sort of last element of the game. This allows all of the players and the GM to set up what might happen in the coming moments, but it also allows them to, you know, give yourself some outs, give yourself some cool set pieces, move yourself closer to a moment, something cool. There you go. Yeah, exactly, Roger. Like, these things are true. The world is dark. The first player might say, I have discovered that the alien's blood is acid. You know, like anything. It doesn't, I mean, you don't even have to say how you learned it or how you know. It's just a truth that you, not even the characters, the players are establishing about the game. Never, Lamyra. No, I came across this. I've been watching some to get a sense of like pacing and so on, but I haven't even played, which I think is, again, potentially going to be a bit of a, I'm not going to say a drawback, but I am going to say it's going to be an interesting, Ooh, yes, the Emerald, absolutely. Do people have to, because it's a truth that's accepted as fact, yes, you can. People must believe you. Do the characters have to believe it? No. I would say, you know, if you know that their brink is like, you know, I've seen you eat human flesh or whatever, it would probably be it wouldn't be lame or anything, but I feel like if your truth was like, I caught Roger eating human flesh, like that, actually, that's a really great story moment, because now all of a sudden, that's probably going to be the driving force in your next scene. Sorry to call you out on the cannibalism thing, Roger. Hey, Zesty. Okay, we've talked enough about this sort of thing. Lamyra asks a good question, which is, have I played in a game of 10 candles before? And the answer is no. This is something that I think, it actually frees me up a lot because I don't have any preconceived notions about what the game should be like. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Light switch rave. You know. So, oh yeah, for sure, the Emerald. Oh no. Hey, thanks for the follow, Anki. Anki Kang. That's Danky Kang. Okay. Let us get to the next thing. When I am preparing for a one-shot as a relatively new GM who has run a one-shot before on stream and then some other sort of like games off stream and in various contexts over the last sort of long while, and I've played in a number of role-playing games. When I'm preparing for a one-shot, there's a few things that need to be really clearly identified. And I think 10 Candles in particular, I don't need to identify things like plot hooks, because as people build their characters, create their moments, and establish truths, those... The Emerald, perfect. These things are true. The world is dark. We escaped, but I had to let Roger eat my arm. Emerald just kind of like looks around like, what do you mean? And we ask him about it, like, did you eat his arm? They're like, I have thoughts about things like, you know, what do I want the antagonist to look like? Where do I think this is going to be set? In what way are people going to use the setting to their advantage or as an obstacle? And I can't control what the players are going to do, and nor do I want to. I want to be surprised by it. John mentioned in the Changeling Froyo session, one of the best things is being surprised by one's players. And I totally agree, even as someone with much less experience. No, not at all. The Emerald. I would say that definitively does not. Them, or they, are forces of darkness. All we know about them for sure, is that there are many, and that they cannot abide the light. That's all we know. But what they are changes from game to game. See you in a sec, Crosshair. Quick BR. You should have said B when you... Okay. The setting. Oh, you know what? I'm going to wait until Crosshair returns, because I'm sure Crosshair will want to know all about this. In the meantime, I'll mention something that I think is an interesting discussion to have. So I will quickly change topics here. And I will say... railroading. I know, I'm going to say player agency. And just change the... until Crosshair comes back, I don't want to sort of reveal anything about the setting. Player agency. I had a really interesting conversation. Oh no, real brick wall, why would you do that? That'd be so scary. If somebody does that on Sunday, I am going to pee my pants. What's wrong with agency, Kaylin? Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. Okay, above. Real brick wall, excellent point. You could even have someone like skitter around on all fours. You know, the classic. You've seen that on TikTok, everybody. You've all seen the kids on the TikTok, have you not? TikTok. Okay, Kaylin, I am going to agree with you in the 99% there. I'm not going to say there's like, oh, there's circumstances where it's the worst, or there's circumstances where it's really good. That's not what I'm going to say. I don't think... Skip this track. What the hell is that? I think it's, again, not having a ton of experience, but I think it can be useful to move your players somewhere if they're not moving themselves. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, 100%. Oh my god, 100%, Kaylin. Yeah, okay. Now we're in 100% agreement. Now I am high level joke, and you should be commended. Yeah, no. So that I can get behind. If players have the ability to choose, and then you, the GM, or you, another player, remove that from them by telling somebody how they feel or forcing them to do something. Okay, well, so you're standing at the entrance to this door and you walk through it. It's really dark and scary. They didn't choose to go in. This is an example, but you see what I'm saying. However, as has been pointed out by Roger, and I want to make a note of this because I think this is figuring into the conversation I had this morning, in horror movies and to a much greater extent, parody horror films, well, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, yeah, oh, hey, Crosshair, great minds. Horror, parodies? It's not really the right word. Satire. Removing a character's agency and their ability to sort of choose pokes fun at a lot of the tropes of horror. The tropes of horror are, you know, things like, oh, well, the character is always going to call out, hello, right? A character is always going to go and investigate the noise in the basement. And, you know, if you, the player, want to or don't want to play into those tropes, I'm all for it. I think there could be certain moments where if a player... get this cat up here. Here we go. If you have sex, you die. There's always a cat scare, and sitting on the toilet is death. Great rules, Crosshair, because they're true. It's true, and so, you know, I love the idea of sort of playing with those tropes a little bit and figuring out... Maybe the cat got you, Lamira. I don't know. Exactly. Ew. All right. Whoa. Oh, pumping your fist too much. Okay. All right. Whoa. I like you guys very much. I didn't read that properly at first, Crosshair, and I got concerned. Here's the conversation I was having with Liz actually this morning. I was talking about the idea of setting limits for the players. Okay, in this world, you've all decided that you have to be inside this building. What if a player wants to leave? This is a really interesting discussion, I feel, and I had it with Liz, and at the end of the day, it's going to be my choice to make. Do you allow your players to leave the sandbox that you've crafted for them to go and play outside? And then do you reward or punish that behavior if you want to, or just let it kind of go? Oh, sorry, Kaylin. I'll try not to be funny, I guess. It wasn't me anyway, it was these guys. I know. Or do you, quote unquote, railroad them and say, no, the limits have been established. If you leave, it's going to be a big problem. I am of the opinion, again, it's sort of twofold here. I'm of the opinion that it's easier to control a smaller setting, right? There's fewer things that can kind of, fewer things you have to think about if you've created a setting that you know all the answers to. And if someone leaves that setting, then you have to all of a sudden expand what you've created on their behalf. At the same time, it probably doesn't feel good as a player to say, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out of here. And then to have the GM say, no. Right? So there's definitely a conversation to have in that sense. There's one possible outcome. You have a meta discussion with your players before, and you say, look, just so you know, we're going to be inside this place, and don't leave if you don't have to. It's easier for me. And then they would say, okay, cool, whatever, and it's just not addressed. You can work into the game. Hello, Mistrich. I'll get in there in a sec. You can work into the world why they should stay inside, the reasons for it, established or implied, and then if they choose to break that, then perhaps the consequences are on them. You can also, quote-unquote, railroad and not allow them to leave without a lot of work, again, by introducing elements into the world and incorporating them into the horror. Walls of fire. Okay, I go out the front door. Cool. A big wall of fire. It's like 100 feet high. What? So, Mistrich, I just want to read this here. The horror follows them where they go. If they move, the family is haunted. If they go to the safe place, monsters have already attacked. Bingo. So, Mistrich, this is, again, I think, a really great way of approaching it, and I think this is probably the approach I'm going to take. And this is, I'm going to... Zesty, oh my god, a little railroad setting. Wouldn't that be so cute? This brings us to setting. The Game of 10 Candles offers you a number of modules, which offer you little introductions, which kind of imply why your characters would be together, and it also imply what they hope to achieve. I realize, having built several modules for my players, what I did not build into the modules themselves were goals, necessarily. One of them I did, but that's not the one we're playing. I'm going to read you guys a sample module, if I may. Oh, wow, that sounds... what's a good one here? Yeah, I'm going to read... sometimes it's really good to have a reason they can't escape. Right. Mistrich makes a good point. It is established in the world of 10 Candles. I'm just going to read it, actually, and I'm going to come back to page 73 in a moment. Where is it here? This game is about telling a story. And no, actually, you know what? I think it's under the GM section. Hey! Thanks, Krister. Did I miss something, guys? But thank you, all the same. Kimtastic, have we seen you here on RPG Clinic before? Not to call you out particularly, but hello. Just looking for my rules here so I can know what I'm doing. Don't plan anything, it says here. Here we go. Oh, okay, well, welcome. Just a bit of background. I'm sure Crosshair will provide you with much more. Here on RPG Clinic, we play RPGs. I'm not the usual GM, I'm usually a player. We had just finished a 3-year campaign of Changeling the Dreaming 20th Edition. Before that, Exalted 3rd, playing some one-shots for the coming Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern. After that, we're starting a campaign of Star Wars, Edge of the Empire, which I'm pretty jazzed about as well. Yes, we're rebranding. That's right, Mr. Rich. This is the rebranding. Weird choppy video and all. That's a joke. Tech is usually much better when I'm not in charge of it. In the world of 10 Candles, there's an implied setting in addition to your module, which is why they're called modules rather than settings, but I'm using setting. 10 days ago, something or someone blotted out the sky. Now, no stars can be seen. All communication with satellites has been lost. Hey! Thanks, Mistrich! Much appreciated. Cheers with my mystery glass. Woo! Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. No stars can be seen. All communications with satellites have been lost, and the sun no longer lights up the sky. 5 days after this anomaly occurred, they came. No one knows exactly who or what they are, but 2 very important things are clear. 1, they fear the light. 2, they're coming for you. Following their appearance, terrified humanity lit up the world, causing massive large-scale blackouts, a classic. Now those who are left cling to dying generators and unreliable flashlights. Small patches of survivors huddle by radios, listening hopefully for news about military rendezvous points or rumors of some illuminated oasis to reach them. So that's the sort of general setting, and then within that you play modules. The game suggests a whole bunch. The radio's gone dead, you have to get to the military for. Basically, like, a lot of the modules suggested are Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2 scenarios, which is not a problem. Great tropes and great, like, settings. I think they're awesome. I wrote my own because I got really excited about specific things. Here's what we're playing, folks. I'm putting it out there. Bill's here. Yeah. God, I loved that game. I logged so many hours playing Left 4 Dead, trying to beat all of the original campaigns on Expert alone, just with the AI, and it was like truly horrible. Kimtastic, and thank you again, Mr. Rich, for the subs. Really great. I saw you guys finished on Twitter. Congrats. I thought it'd be a good time to jump in and see what the one-shots and the Star Wars systems are all about. Our GM is very interested in diplomatic mechanics and minigames to fluff up our D&D. Oh, we're looking out for the Jane Austen one! What? So, I want to point out, Kim, I'm also really excited. That game is specifically, again, a collaborative storytelling game with, hey, thanks, Trey Dog, with very few mechanics. There's some tokens involved that you can, like, give or take with other players, but generally there's, like, very little you can kind of do in order to... There's very little mechanics that introduce chance into that system specifically. However, I will say, on this channel in particular, the reason we don't play things like D&D, etc., is because these games, this is part of the brand. We, as a group, love games that are focused on interpersonal storytelling, persuading other people of things, manipulating other people, diplomacy, politics, quote-unquote social skills, right? This isn't, I'm not ragging on D&D, and I want to be really clear about that. I've played D&D. It's great. It's a lot of fun, right? But I would argue somewhat competent in not dying due to mechanics. Oh, well, very good, Trey Dog. 3 hours, eh? Very exciting. I mean, Mistrich makes a good point. 3 of us are professional actors, and 1 of us is involved in... 4 of us now with special guest star Jess Files. 1 of us is involved very closely with the theater scene here in Montreal. Thank you very much, Crosshair. Where was I going with that? However, I just feel like that system lets you down a little bit when you want to do something like really go toe-to-toe with the Oh, thank you so much, Real Brick Wall. What a sweetheart. Real Brick Wall, that's so nice. Thank you. You're the best brick wall I've ever seen. D&D, I think, falls down a little bit for me because if I want to play a character who is, all bluff and no gruff, it's a little hard to do that. You'd have a high charisma score, maybe a high wisdom. But like, what, you're just gonna keep rolling persuades? You can't persuade mindless creatures of things. So we often play games on this channel that are very much focused on interpersonal relationships, and whether that be romantic or antagonistic or whatever. Okay, here we go. I've been talking long enough, folks. I wrote my own module for this game, and I'm going to read it to you now, because I think it's cool. And if y'all don't like it, you don't have to come on Sunday, okay? Now, obviously, this is pandering yeah, exactly, Kev. Like, and that's not a problem. I love that sort of thing. It's just not what we do on this channel specifically, I provided a number of possible modules to my players, and together we settled on one that I think is a real interesting doozy that might be unlikely for a game of 10 candles, which of course is something else. I'm such a hipster and I love going against the grain. Ghostlight is the module. I'm going to read you the description that I wrote for Ghostlight. Actually, sorry, I wrote it in the wrong place. Mistrich, great question. I do research online and I look up highly rated role-playing games, and I try to get a sense of whether they'd be good for one or no, Zesty, no. I try to get a sense of whether they'd be good for like just one sesh or whether they'd have to be a few. Could you cram it into one thing? Yeah, basically, like, I know it sounds silly, but like, I guess I just got lucky. Like, this game sounds awesome. And it really helps to have the internet as a resource, because then you get to find other people's experiences. Oh, I really loved this game, but like, it was about 10 minutes long. Okay, probably not for us. Oh, hi, Ripley. It's our cat. The module that we were playing is called Ghostlight, and I will read it to you. Who would have thought the old theater would have been so secure? It almost feels like home in here at the Apollo, although the rows of empty seats sometimes unnerve you, like there's a whole audience judging your every move. And Tomas claimed he saw someone else in row J the other night. But the ghost light is always on, and they can't abide the light. Who knows what secrets lie beneath the boards? The internet is really, really great. Oh, wait. Yay! Ghostlight, for those who are not, perhaps... Las Vegas. I am not familiar with Kung Fu Fenris, but let me know. Well, okay, all right, Roger. So, great, good point. Yeah, so, just so that everybody is kind of aware, I drew inspiration from a number of different sources. Crosshair will be glad to know I'm drawing inspiration from The King in Yellow, as an example, and Phantom of the Opera, another great example. Just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's just so inspirational. There is something very, I don't know what the word is. Something about Phantom that really like draws me, and it's not the music. Obviously, I like the music, but there's something about his powers and the fact that there's someone who kind of, it's an archetype that I really love. Yeah. There's something about Phantom as well that really draws me in, because he as a character is a person with his own motivations and wants and needs and desires. He's been twisted by being alone and, like, his ugliness or whatever. varying degrees depending on whether you see the film, or the really old film, or the play, or whatever, the musical, the stage production. But at the end of the day, that character is able to affect things in a way that is truly horrifying because you have no control over the space in which you are in. Ghostlight. In a theater, for reasons of safety, but also reasons of, oh my god. But also for reasons of, what's the word? Oh my god, when you're, see, this does not bode well for Sunday. I'm gonna be like, okay, so you go to the they're like the washroom. I'm like, yeah, right, the place with the toilet. Ooh. Oh yeah, Kev, for sure. Ah, cool, Kung Fu Fenris. I guarantee it, Roger. Now we're talking railroading here. If nobody wants to go to the green room, I'm gonna give them the opportunity, and I'm even gonna perhaps entice them to do so. But they don't have to if they don't want to. But I have some good ideas for what might happen in the green room. Spoiler alert, it might not be green. No, I'm just kidding. That's a bit of a joke. In the theater, after everyone has left, the cat here for everybody. Whoa, Ripley, what happened to your eyeballs? That's scary. When everybody leaves the theater, there is a single, usually tall, unshaded light that is left on stage. Naturally, this is for, sorry guys. Eldritch Kitty, meow, 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 meow. It's so scary. I'm really sorry. Oh man. The light is left on, of course, A, to ward off ghosts, but B, for safety. If somebody comes into the theater at night and there's no light on, obviously they might fall into the orchestra pit or whatever. So, you leave a light on. The light is known as the ghost light, hence the name of the module. I am planning on introducing the setting, these 4 people, and I have an easy method for you, as well as a map. Have a flowchart in the shape of a map. It allows you reference keywords, actions, items. Zesty, what an excellent idea. I have locations mapped out for this place because this is a real theater. I've never been to the Apollo in Harlem, but that's the theater that we're going to be using. It's like a big, opulent 1,500 seat theater, but it's got its own. It's got a ton of history, and it's got the classic like box seats up on the sides. It's got some additional sort of intricacies. It's got like a smaller space upstairs. It's got the basement with all the creepy shit down there, etc. What isn't implied in this module is a goal, right? There's nothing in the setting that says, oh, well, like, we're okay. We're in this theater where the light is always on because I guess there's some sort of generator running. Exactly, Crosshair. I fully expect someone like ZenRobo to be able to get some great terminology going when it comes to using the booth, using some of the tech, etc., etc. I also plan on using a lot of that material as much as I can. The thing about this module is it does not imply a conflict. It merely implies a place and a feeling. There's a feeling of discovery, right? They're there at the Apollo and they are safe because the light is on and they can't abide the light. Presumably they are outside the theater, right? It's not established, but that's presumably what's going on. Oh my god. Okay, so rear brick wall is correct. Also, Roger is fantastic. This is the kind of thinking I go for here on RPG Clinic. The idea that it's like, okay guys, the only thing that will overcome them is a truly rousing performance of Annie. The sun will come, No productions! People can do productions if they want to. Perhaps the goal is simply entertain yourselves, Mistrich, We don't talk about cats. That's what started this whole garbage. You know it, and I know it. We all know it. Also, yes, it has to be cats. I think it's just super disconcerting anyway. I love it. Most of the time, the place itself is inert. It is neither good nor evil. It's a location, says Kaelin. It's the stories surrounding the location that starts to twist it in the mind of the player. Right, Kaelin. I plan on imbuing the Apollo Theater in Harlem with a heart and a soul. Not literally, but with a heart and a soul, and perhaps even a mind of its own. As a character in their story, what does the Apollo hope to achieve? Why is it allowing them to shelter there? Or is it? Secret theater critics. Most of the modules suggested in 10 Candles imply that the players excuse me, have to either get away from where they are or leave their current safety in order to secure something that will make them safer. The generator's running low. Get some fuel for the generator. The fence that is keeping them out has started to break down a number of locations. You need to go and get some items to fix it. I am toying with the idea of giving several hooks in order to encourage players to explore. Whoa! Whoa! Oh, damn. Kev, I love that. You must all mount a production of this, the accursed play, Ghostlight. It's got huge tracts of land. Oh no, I just want to sing. No singing, no. No, none of that. Oh, I just feel like singing. Oh. It's a great movie. So, unclear reasons. What, the curtains? No, not the curtains. It's so good. What, the curtains? He's so funny. Roger, that's a great feel because that is essentially what I'm going for. Twin Peaks is. What the hell? Hey, oi! Cats. Classic chaos cats. What the hell? Oi! Okay, we're good. Twin Peaks is off-putting, right? There's something about the place that is unnerving and eerie, and we can't quite put our finger on it. It's probably that everybody is hiding secrets, right? There's this overwhelming feeling of paranoia in the town because people have secrets that they don't want discovered. I fully intend to out the players' secrets during the course of the game because I'm planning on making this a game centered around perceptions of reality. Of course, a classic. What I'm toying with, and I want to hear people's feedback on this, don't think that you're running the game of 10 Candles for me, but just whoa, real brick wall sounds awesome. I'm going to check that out. Right. Looks pretty idealistic. Idealistic? It looks pretty idyllic. Something unsettling below. What I'm planning on doing, rather than saying, oh, generator's running out of gas, well, exactly, Mistress, that's the hope, right? Rather than saying, okay, well, you need more fuel for your generator to keep your ghost light on. You're running out of food and you have to go to the grocery store and get some more food, go find some food somewhere. Rather than doing that, I think what I'd like to do is imply that there's relative safety in the space, but that there are unknowns, because it's a relatively large space, You're out, Crosshair! No, I'm just kidding. Order in this clinic! But there's an implication that there are unknown things about, Hey, you think I should get this mole checked out? I don't know, aren't you the doctor? I just thought I'd get a second opinion. I think I'm going to imply that there are things that they need to find out about the space. What's behind that one locked door? Where's that sound coming from? Why is it that when they counted all of the, bars of food that were left upstairs in the cafe, why is it that there seem to be more there now? Did they miscount first? Who is in charge of that? Etc. That's the implication. Because what I want to do is give my players some... Yeah, exactly. Why the hell? How did it even get up there? How has it not deflated yet? Is it them? God, that camera is so terrible. I'm really sorry, everybody. I think it's the filter I put on this, and I'm just going to quickly adjust it if I can. It might also be just the lack of light here. I'm going to see if I can do that. That might help a little bit. Hi, Pook. Pook, I'll give you the quick DL. We're chatting about the one shot that I'll be running on Sunday as a relatively inexperienced GM. What it means to run a one shot where you're expected to not prep very much. What kind of pitfalls? Oh God! Oh my God, Pook, how long have you been here? I'm so sorry. How are you? How can you give people a great experience that you all are kind of building all together? You enter the bathroom. It is lightly scented with a potpourri dish that harkens back to when your grandmother was alive. The fuzzy seat cover is pastel blue. The toilet paper is 3-ply. The lights above the mirror bathe you in a warm glow. What's wrong with it? Good question. Oh my God, that cat. So that's my idea, folks, is that rather than saying, okay, this module has a built-in thing that you, this module has a built-in goal that you need to achieve before the candles reach 0. Rather, it'll be, okay, you're in relative safety for now, but there is these unexplained phenomena, perhaps, happening within the theater, or things that you need to know, because if this is going to be your home for a while, you need to know what's going on there. Perhaps also work their moments into it as well. This was something else that I kind of mentioned to Liz this morning, the idea that people can come up with moments for their character that may be set outside of the theater. What if somebody is like, oh, I'm a rambunctious bro who is a womanizer. Like, of course my moment is going to be, get me some lady, whatever, or gross. Like, sorry, that's really gross, but you know what I mean. If somebody builds that character, bro who wants to be laid, that's actually a bad example, because you can get laid in a theater. Have I? Oh my God. There you go, Pook. Okay, so Mistrich has some concrete thoughts here. Okay, so Roger, this is an interesting point, Roger. I haven't implied why people are at the theater. Get me some lady. All right, Gucci. What was his name? Chad? His name was probably Chad. I think a door unlocked doesn't necessarily scream. We need to figure that out. I agree. It's just a door, right? It's not a Gooch McDude. You make a good point, Mistrich. Not enough of a mystery. The mystery box needs to do something in order for it to be like, ooh, what's in the box, you know? Or it needs to have meaning. A door is just a door. Could be anything behind the door. Who cares? Maybe the thing you need is behind the door. Maybe the thing you don't want to see is behind the door. Supplies appearing is a good thought. I like that as well. So I guess like my thoughts so far, you know, we're well, okay, so Roger, you're throwing out the theater references and I love it. Waiting for Godot, right? Great play. I mean, interesting play. Great play. I actually read all of Beckett's work once. Just quick by the by, I did a really long research paper when I studied theater at university. I read his complete works because I was going to mount like an installation piece of a bunch of his works as like static art pieces. We didn't do that, but we could. Also, Beckett's estate is very shitty, for lack of a better word. Exactly, Crosshair. I'm planning on playing with people's perceptions. I have a few thoughts. I'm not going to spoil anything because, we may not get to them as we go, but I have a few sort of like, Zutalo! I have a few sort of almost set pieces that I would love to see, which might move locations or might change circumstances or whatever. But what's binding them all together, Crosshair, is this idea of the thing I'm seeing can't possibly be real, or the thing I'm understanding is totally different from the thing before. Mr. makes a good point. What if this group of survivors has rotating duties and one of them notices something off with what happened, the day before, but they weren't in charge of it the day before? So supplies appearing, that sort of thing. Exactly. Right. What does it imply? That, as an example, that would sort of imply there's someone either, stealing or putting back supplies, that sort of thing. Don't worry, Pukajutsu. This one's on the house. I'm sorry, because I realized that that's not really how the medical system works in some places, but this visit's on the house. That's a house call, Pukajutsu. Wink. So, Mr. I really like where we're going with this, and I think the stumbling block I want to try to avoid for myself is, oh my god, no, but I was just an actor playing the role of, here's the thing, Roger, if somebody wants to establish the truth that they have been pretending to be someone else this whole time, it's one of the truths and it's part of the universe. Go for it. That's fine by me. I think, I didn't prep enough with my players to sort of get into this whole in-universe characters within characters within characters thing, so we probably won't be doing that. I think it's a great idea, but the idea of that play went horribly wrong and now we're all dead. Good thing it was just a play. And then one of them gets shot and they're like, good thing that was just a play too. Bah. There you go, Crosshair. Yeah, the thing I'm really kind of going for here is people's perceptions of reality vary from each other's. And hello Zen, again. You've been here the whole time? It's more that I want to play with people's perceptions, but we get back to this concept that we were talking about before, taking away player agency. As a GM, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, that's weird. Now you see this. It's just more if somebody wants to know something, perhaps the reality of the situation shifts between players' perspectives. Perhaps it shifts moment to moment in a way that seems unlikely or like somebody is lying. That's what I'm kind of want to play with a little bit. This brings us, I think, pretty neatly on to another concept. Tone. Horror, of course, is not a unified genre, right? It's got its own subgenres and that sort of thing, right? The film Saw and the film The Creature from the Black Lagoon and the film The Thing and the film Cabin in the Woods. Exactly, Zesty. That sort of thing is just okay, yeah, okay, so before I get back into tone, Kaylin actually makes a really good point. I, the GM, am never going to... I don't want to be the... how do I say this, Kaylin? Kaylin, you're right, and I have to make that a definitive statement. I will not gaslight my players. If one character sees something differently from another character, I think that's fair game, and I think that's interesting, and it might sow some discord amongst the characters. I am not going to sit down and say to one of my players, oh, no, that's not true. What you said 10 minutes ago, that's not what you actually said. I am never going to tell my players that they were wrong or like what they said wasn't true or try to change their perception of the reality of how the game has been played. I think it's super fair, though, to say something along the lines of, oh, the door is unlocked. And they're like, wasn't it locked before? And I can say, it was. You know, that's a shift in reality. I feel like that works here. Oh my god, wow. That's wild, Rubric Wall. I've never heard of that. That's crazy. Tone. As I was saying before, I think the tone of this piece is going to be really important. And of course, I'm going to use certain, classic tools to set the mood. The 10 candles. Music. Not this kind of music. We're going to be using different music, of course, to set the tone a bit better. The tone I'm aiming for here is somewhere between. I need to actually put this down into the. Ooh, a little light Bon Jovi. Oh my god. The tone. I'm gonna have to actually get this into words exactly, but it's somewhere between a David Lynch film and like a classic Lon Chaney film. Because yeah, is that right? Yeah. David Lynch? Is that the right person? Am I thinking of the right person? Eraserhead and ooh, last candle's near. Whoa! Hello, the Emerald. Oh. Yeah, the Emerald, I know that quite well myself. It's a big thing. Okay. Okay, good. So, yeah, I feel like David Lynch is sort of like one of those cinematic masters of the unsettling and the really weird. Characters that you don't trust just because of the way their face is framed and what they do. Right, exactly. That's my opinion, of course. People can feel free to disagree with me if they so choose. Pulling something up here. Yeah, and then as has already been mentioned by Roger, thank you for the shout out because it's true. Twin Peaks is also a feel that I really want to kind of go for here. Now, your players have to be on board with the tone that you're trying to set. So I need to do a good job of setting the tone, introducing the module, and introducing the sort of hooks. And when I get a chance to introduce truths, to try to play them into that tone. Now, the other inspiration I mentioned was old Lon Chaney films. Lon Chaney did, Lon Chaney was the actor who was, if I'm not mistaken, Nosferatu and Frankenstein, back in the 1930s. Wolfman, etc. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm good here. He was the person who sort of revolutionized theater in terms of makeup and that sort of thing. He went all out with how scary he was able to go in terms of his films. Where are we here? Yeah, Phantom in the mid-20s. Wow, I was very wrong. Sorry, we're talking 20s here. My apologies. Hunchback. If I go back further, Nosferatu was Plank. What was his name? Damn it. It's not looking good for our heroes here. Max Schreck. That's something else. But again, that sort of really old school classic Hollywood creeping dread silent film style could be really fun to play into as well. I also, as another inspiration, oh shit, Mistrich, that must be the best cubicle in the world. Also, the scariest to go into and ask you a question. Another big inspiration I'm taking from here is a play that was that I got to see a couple of times in New York called Sleep No More, which I won't get into because it's a big thing, and frankly, I might pull some stuff directly from the play to use here if we end up doing it. But suffice it to say, it's essentially a choose-your-own-adventure Macbeth that they've taken over a space and turned it into a 1930s hotel. So you wander around in this massive space and keep uncovering room after room after room. Yes, thank you. Yes, Lamira. Yeah, 100%. It's an experience. It's not for everybody, but I firmly and strongly recommend it for everybody who thinks it will be up their alley. It's worth every penny. Go. Bring money for the bar. But like, that's a great experience. And the reason that experience feels so exciting is because it's in a real space. There's a sense of scale. As you turn a corner, there's a whole huge room that they've managed to fill with, again, whatever, I won't go into it, but it's impossible almost. You're in a building, but somehow you feel like you're outside in a way. Okay. Oh, Romeo and or Juliet. Oh, yes. Isn't that Ryan North wrote it after To Be or Not to Be, That Is the Adventure? Crosshair, you are correct. We are going for the candles. If we can't get them to work on Sunday, of course, we'll sub in something different. But we are going for the real candles, and I'm very excited for the atmosphere that it will lend. Also, the inevitable, like, burst of laughter from my mouth that, like, takes out 5 candles at once. Like, I guarantee I'm gonna, like, ruin my own game in that sense. Tone! Thank you, Zen! Yes! It is! It's very important! Yeah, sorry, yes, Mr. Ch, yeah. To be clear, we're gonna talk about it later, but, like, yes, we're doing little candles. Not like big tapers. Can you imagine, like, a candelabra with tapers? That'd be awesome, but totally wrong for this game. So, tone. Oh, thanks, the Emerald. That's kind of why I wanted to. This was one of the modules I proposed because I was really excited to, like, get back into this zone. The theater is a magical place, and when I say the theater, I don't just mean plays. I mean any live experience, right? As I kind of said towards the beginning of the stream, the thing that's exciting about a live experience, be it a concert, be it a play, be it a musical. Well, fire safety's been considered. Crosshair, so you joke, but there is a YouTube playthrough of 10 Candles. I don't remember the name now, but you can find them if you kind of like Google playthrough or whatever, where that's what they did. So it's a recorded stream of the whole game, lit only by the 10 candles. Awesome, but of course it's on camera, so you can't really see the faces of any of the players. Disappointing. Something I said towards the beginning of the stream, I think bears mentioning again. A stream is via... a stream is, online, obviously, like you can't kind of like reach out and touch me here, but I mean, you can touch my heart. RPGClinic followers, you can touch my heart. But it's a live experience. You know that it's happening on the other end of your internet connection at the same time as you're watching it. And there's a couple of reasons why live performances are exciting. Oh, perfection, Zen. Thank you for the safety tips, by the way. Feels gooey. Okay. Oh, jeez. Crosshair, what the hell? The thing about a live theatrical performance that is exciting is a sense of scale. It's a sense of danger, and I'll get back to that in a moment here. And it's a sense of collaborative. It's the collaborative nature of it. That one's easy to address. The audience... perfect. The audience is collaborating with the performers to make the story. Now, they're not necessarily literally collaborating in the way that a video game audience, the player, is collaborating, but the audience's energy feeds the actors, or perhaps feeds the performers, or perhaps influences the outcome of the show. Much how you, the viewer, might also influence the outcome of a stream, not, again, literally in terms of the story, but in terms of how we enjoy it or what we get out of it or what moments we kind of pull from each other here. Thanks, Real Brick Wall. Figuratively, all you want, then. A sense of danger was the other thing about a theatrical performance that I think I want to try to encapsulate in this game. Danger, of course, is not literal danger, but it's the sense that something could go wrong. Because it's live, this is why, like, magic shows and illusionists and whatever are so popular, right? People love, and like, death-defying acts, the circus or whatever. It's exciting because something could go wrong. You're witnessing someone doing something that requires their full physical being and their full focus in order to pull it off. Can I help you? Get out of here. There's a plant just behind my RPGClinic thing. And Pook also makes a good point. If it was a recording of cars driving around, I'd be like, okay, like, whatever. But it's because you're there and you're participating in the action. And the first thing that I mentioned was a sense of scale. In a film, you can, or in a video game, you can be tricked into a sense of scale. But at the end of the day, your eyes and your brain recognize that the screen in front of you is only a certain size. In a movie theater, you get tricked more because in a movie theater, the screen envelops you. Escapologists, thank you. But again, your brain recognizes that it is a two-dimensional projection. In theater, and I think also virtual reality, right? Well, in virtual reality, again, you can physically trick your body, but in the theater, you can truly experience a sense of scale because the things in front of you, discounting any digital manipulation or whatever, are real things. The illusion of a set piece is that it might look like the size of a house, but might weigh, might be light enough that it can be flown off or whatever. Exactly. A sense of scale is really what I want to try to achieve here. From the claustrophobic basement corridors of a theater to the almost cavernous main hall, and then perhaps even larger, depending on where they end up. What's the most important thing you take into consideration with a rather... Is it actually, John? Is that true? Pook? Confirm or deny? Crosshair has a question. A question on prep. What's the most important thing you take into consideration with a rather tight time frame? I will tell you one thing I take into account. What players want? Am I going to say, okay, cool, Kung Fu Fenris, it's been great to see you. Thanks for dropping by the clinic. Is it the most important thing, Crosshair? I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I certainly think it's one of my immediate considerations when I want to run a game, and especially when I'm preparing for a one-shot. It is a singular experience. You don't get a chance to say, oh man, I really wish I had X, or oh shoot, like I wish I had played a character with Y. Right? You don't get a chance to say, oh man, like Braum was like a little under the weather last week. I'm going to up his engagement in the game, and I'm going to up his engagement in the storyline next week. It's one time. I think the most important things for me to consider in preparing are, what do the players want to do? What's going to make them the most excited about this experience? And if it's like have a gruesome death, like, okay. And if it's survive as long as possible, like, okay, like that's on you. But also, exactly, Crosshair, right? You don't get a chance to play these characters again unless you do like a prequel or something, which, not a prequel 10 Candles, because then they die twice. What do the players want is definitely a key consideration of mine. And moving on from that and like kind of going a bit deeper, my ability to clearly and concisely communicate Try saying that 10 times fast. Don't write it though, please. What the game expects of them. I am more than willing, as you all probably, if you watched and if you remember, there was a one-shot that I ran of One Last Job. I fudged a lot of the rules of the game. The rules didn't lend themselves to the length of time I had accorded for a certain scene. And I think I, frankly, played some of the rules incorrectly. We ended up fudging things in the hopes of getting a better story. I think we succeeded. It was a really fun time. At least that's my opinion, and people can feel free to disagree. Yeah, exactly. There's the orichalcum rule, Mistrich. If you don't like a rule, change it. But at the end of the day, Crosshair, my considerations are, what do the players want to do? What's going to bring them joy in their life? And how can I communicate to them what the game needs them to do? They need to know that they're going to die. They need to know that their character creation happens on the day. Don't worry about it. They need to know that they need to be open to collaborative storytelling. I'm not going to tell them what to do. They need to do it for themselves. 1, 2, 3, they know all these things. I'm not concerned. I'm really not concerned about that at all. That's something that I consider. Lemira has something else here. I want to also mention something I didn't get to today, which was structure. The idea of the game lends a structure in the fact that there are scenes as dictated by the candles. And by establishing new truths, you move the story forward. You say, okay, well, I've established the truth. We're going to do this. Or I've established the truth. I now have found a dog, or whatever. You move the story forward in that way. But structure is also important because you don't want to give your hand away too early. If you give away the fact that there's going to be a confrontation with the head zombie or whatever in the first scene, well, then the players are just looking forward to that and not anything else. I hope that answered your question, Crosshair. Lemire asked, how much time do you spend pre-game discussing goals and thoughts with players for a low prep by design game like this? I'm going to answer your question in a roundabout way, Lemire. I spent a lot more time thinking about setting, set pieces, etc. than I did actually speaking with the other players. We discussed what the game is, how it works. I spent a bit of time creating a cheat sheet and sending it to them so that they have it, and sending them module ideas and soliciting feedback on them. We're going to spend some time on Sunday setting up the tech, discussing how it's going to run, and then in the game we're going to talk about character creation and stuff. So how much time do I spend pre-game discussing goals and thoughts? Like, basically none. Even though that's the most important thing, I got a sense from the players what they're excited about, what they want to try to do, and what kind of tone they want to go for. And I've also, made it very clear, and as we all have, if there's anything more that you want to tell me, like, always come to me. And I think that's really important. When you're running a campaign, you got to check in with your players as much as possible, right? Not as much as possible, not like, in the middle of the night, every night, hey, are you enjoying game, man? They're just sitting there and you're like, hey, man, are you enjoying game? Yeah, I'm good. Okay. But it's important to check in because sometimes people are enjoying themselves, but only a little bit, maybe less than they used to. Maybe they feel it as it's like, well, it's more of a commitment now than a fun thing. Am I sensing that I've hit on something here, Kaylin? Well, we're reaching the end of the stream, folks. I didn't get to half the stuff I had kind of planned, but like, that's where we're at. You good? Crosshair, I will neither confirm nor deny this. This is the game that I am exactly Real Brick Wall. Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, so I'm excited about this prospect. I'm also, like, let's be real, I'm nervous as hell. More so than One Last Job, weirdly, even though the game is quite clear, don't prepare anything. Anytime you improvise or create something on the fly, especially because it's going to be streamed, we're worried about, oh no, oh, hello, weirdness. It's good that you've said something finally. Hello. It's great that you've been here all along. Exactly. Yeah, I want to give you, the audience, a bit of sense of what we're playing so that I don't have to keep kind of addressing things in the chat or whatever. I am going to have my cheat sheet. I know the setting. The players are going to come up with their characters, things that they want to achieve. And we're all going to discover together who they are, where they are, they being the antagonists, and how they're going to meet their gruesome end. I'm really excited, guys. As I said, I'm nervous as hell because there's an expectation that everything is going to be epic, right? Even those small moments. It's going to be epic. I'm sure Critical Role, like, you know, etc. Like, I'm sure all role players feel that to a certain extent, especially if you're streaming. Capital T, yeah, exactly, Kaylin. No, the capital T, they. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, exactly, Crosshair. I'm not overly worried about time. That's for sure. I just want to make sure that everybody has a good time and that people don't feel like, oh, well, like, oh, a reveal happened. Like, okay, cool, I guess. You know, like, oh, wow, the chandelier fell down. Like, I haven't seen that 1,000 times, you know. The chandelier? There hasn't been a chandelier here in 100 years! I'm very much looking forward to it. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern on Elizabeth Neal's channel, there's Punchy. It's a good question, Pook. Check out these! I'm opening my coat. There's chandeliers inside. Was that obvious? Yeah, like, get a load of these. Saturday, no stream from me, but I'm sure someone's got... In fact, actually, I know Aragorn's got me covered. And on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going live with 10 candles right here on twitch.tv/RPGClinic. Crosshair, I really hope to scare you. And Zen, you don't have to check your sass at the door. You just need to tell me if you're enjoying yourself. That's all. That's all I'm going to say. Ooh. The Emerald. If I can answer it quickly, I will. What's a good way players can help a GM? Like, what's aftercare like for a one-shot? Wow, that's a great question, the Emerald. I think, you know, I'm going to go with the old classic. Use your word hole. If you get the sense that your GM or a player is upset, concerned, but they didn't use any of their safety tools to indicate this to you, it's probably good to check in with them after the game. Hey, that was really fun. Or, hey, wow, what an intense experience. How did it go for you? Right? You can thank your GM. That's always a good place to start, generally, right? Like, they provided you something, is the hope. It's a great question, the Emerald, though. Thank you. I think players can help a GM by being present for them because they're enjoying telling the story with you. They're enjoying telling the story along with the rest of you. So if you're enjoying telling the story with them, let them know that. And you can let them know that by being present, by listening, by responding to their cool ideas, or by the classic improv, yes, and, right? If the GM is like, oh, it's an old cobwebby, dusty room, you're like, yeah, it is. It's really gross in here, actually, frankly. It almost looks like there's maybe even mold on the ceilings. Like, okay, that's a bad example, but I've contributed to the describing of something. Again, depending on the game that you're playing in, you might not you might not depending on the system, you might not have the chance to sort of like assist your GM in that way, but certainly in a collaborative storytelling effort, which I love to do, you should always be ready to offer suggestions or assistance, I would say. Rubric Wall. Without a word of a lie, this is actually a conversation we had. Guess who brought it up first? That's right, it was Zen Robo, she who builds 1,000 things. I'll give you a better prefix, Kate. I'm sorry, I don't have a better title for you. Sorry. But yeah, no, RPGClinic. It is what it is, and we are definitely taking a look for that. I have to go. Max. RPG Climax. Somebody write this down. This is gold, Bugajutsu. Are you a partnered streamer or something, Bugajutsu? This is gold. Hey, thanks everybody. I hope this was an enjoyable, interesting RPG Clinic. I think I nailed down a few things for myself that I'm going to settle into a bit more before Sunday. I'm really hoping people enjoy themselves, and I hope you can join us. If you can't, you can find us on YouTube. Oh, there you go, Pook. Hey, thanks, guys. I'm really jazzed. Thank you all. This has been what a wonderful assortment of people in the chat here. It's really great. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm gonna shoot us on over to post show here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to tag. Whoa! Don't hesitate to tag me on Twitter and ask. If you want to do it in a slightly more private way, there's Discord as well. And that's right, Zen is correct. We have professional emotes on their way, and we have excellent temporary ones in the meantime. Excuse me, Pukajutsu. Green card. Folks, I really appreciate everyone's support, love, and just, horror or no horror, tragic ending or no, we are going to get through this and we're going to thrive because this is a great community. And I think you already know the only way that we're going to do that is directionally. And by directionally, I mean up and to the right. I hope this isn't reversed. Bye-bye. With waiting teeth, their skin shines crystalline.